Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Westfield. Welcome to the Joe Show. I'm your host, Joe Rouse. I'm here in studio with, producer Pete. I'm always so impressed when I look in your space, and I have no idea what the heck that all is. It's impressive. I
can teach you.
All right. In my spare time, we'll
I can show you.
So
I can show you how to look better on Zoom.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah, it's helpful.
Yeah.
So, again, I'm Joe Rouse. I'm also the Director of Public Health here in Westfield, and this is the Joe Show. I'm here today. I have a co-host, and I'm not going to say guest because we got a lot to get to today. This is very exciting. I think this is going to be the best one so far. But in studio with me also is Carol Palmer of Westfield fame, YMCA, retired. But
Senior Center?
Yeah, now Senior Center, dance.
No, not dance. And don't say jazzercise
No, you
either.
can't say that.
Exercise instructor.
Exercise instructor.
Group exercise
extraordinaire. All right. By the way, Carol Palmer, if you don't know, she's my mother.
And so proud.
Yeah, I know. You look too young to be my mom.
Well, that's true, but I'm still proud.
All right. I earned some points there, Pete. Did you hear that?
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
I earned you more points by getting on the New Year's Eve show.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. That was fun, although I fell asleep like a old man.
I outlasted you.
You did. Mm-hmm. I actually was in my garage studio, as I was last year. Got a little cold and then also wanted to go in and check on the child. So I did that and sat down waiting for her to do something, and immediately fell asleep in my recliner and never returned.
Poor old guy.
That's why you should have come down here and spent some time with poor me and Kenny.
Yes, and yes, that will happen next time, guaranteed.
We have plenty of room to space out. So,
all right. And I just, before we get started, a shout out to, I got to tell you, Pete, this is exciting to me, and I know Kenny's going to be very jealous. He already is. He's jealous of me anyway. We have a new fan club in the city. It's called the Joe Show Fan Club.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and it's spearheaded by the founder, who is Nancy, and also her friend Debbie. I have groupies, Pete.
You do?
I have groupies.
Yes. Okay.
See?
So what's new?
Yeah, right. Oh, well, you know me.
Yeah, I do know you.
You know, you're kicking Kenny when he's down. He never made it to Las Vegas.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, I read about that.
Yeah.
So his flights got canceled on Monday. He was 20 minutes away from flying out, and none of the flight attendants, they all called out sick, so they can't fly without flight attendants.
Yeah, no, you can't.
They had a
that.
pilot, a co-pilot, and no flight attendants.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So you just can't fly without them. And then, so they were trying to get him another flight on Monday, no go. Tuesday, his only options were other airlines, and it would have been like $2,000 to fly out to Las Vegas.
Wow.
Earliest they could have got him out there was today, and the Consumer Electronics Show closes tomorrow. So he'd be like,
that's pointless.
Right.
Yeah.
So apparently they compensated him quite well, though.
I'm thinking this is a pretty common story nowadays.
Well, right now it is because of the surge.
Right.
And everybody's, getting through what they got to get through. But, right now it's tough.
Yeah.
But Kenny made out like a bandit. He apparently got 2 flight vouchers or more and points and all kinds of stuff.
He'll use that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, well, lift his spirits. Maybe I can get my fan club to have some friends to start a Ken's Dens fan club. But
Hey, listen, every community radio show brings their own viewpoint and tack to things, and they're all different.
Yes, they are.
They are all wildly different.
Well, we'll try and be different here, and we're not going to do interview style, but I do want to get to one of the point to be made is that these 5-week months really mess me up because I'm on the 4th Wednesday with Tina, and I always think, well, that means the next Wednesday is the first Wednesday of the month, and then
Right.
I'm on my own thing. And last month, that was not the case. We had 5 Wednesdays, so I was in a panic for a guest. I wanted to talk about nutrition going into the new year, New Year's resolutions and stuff, and then I realized it wasn't until the next week, and we were kind of past all of that. So anyway, nonetheless, Carol Palmer has she's done some research and wants to talk about what you were doing, New Year's resolutions.
New Year's resolutions,
All right,
yeah. You know, when I was, and now that I am teaching classes, I used to talk to my people about it, and I'd say, you know, my husband always keeps his major resolution for New Year's, which is I'm not making any resolutions.
Yep.
So,
Right.
and of course, the gyms and the Y were packed by mid-January to mid-February, and then things kind of slacked off a little bit, except my active older adults. They did not slack off. So these are people, for the most part, didn't make any resolutions. That's their lifestyle, and that's the way they live because, you know, they've learned through their years of experience that it's pretty dumb to say, I'm not going to eat any desserts for the rest of my life.
Right, yeah. No, you can't.
So
Not practical.
You can't stick to that.
No. Well, I looked up some stuff on the internet, and you know how reliable that is, but
You can find whatever you want to find.
that's right. But I agree with this, that most New Year's resolutions are all about self-improvement. So they broke it down and said 23% just say they want to live healthier, 21% say they want to be happier, 20% say that they want to lose weight. Now, that I disagree with because I think over the years it's more like 70% of the people I talk to want to lose weight. 7% want to increase exercise, 2% want to reduce drinking,
Boo.
5% want to stop smoking, 16% have career goals, and 11% want to improve relationships.
Now, wait a minute. What was the highest percentage there?
23%.
Which wanted to do what?
Live healthier.
Live healthier.
So that can be a lot of
That's all
different-
encompassing.
Right. But my point is, this is how reliable the internet is. I added these up, and it comes out to 105%. So I don't know how accurate that is. But then they listed like the top 5 on another place that I looked. And these are pretty accurate. To enjoy life more, to eat better and exercise, to learn something new, to quit smoking, and to manage my money better.
Ooh,
which,
the money thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was a. But so then I decided, well, how about famous people? What do these rich and famous people? What could they possibly have for a resolution?
Right.
So I saw Paul Newman's. You want to take a guess at what Paul Newman's resolution was?
To eat less donuts.
You know, does the public know that he used to come up to Mrs. Murphy's to get his donuts?
Does the public know that I met him at Mrs. Murphy's one day early morning after I dropped you off at the airport?
Right.
Came back through Southwick, stopped at Mrs. Murphy's, went early, went to walk in, and in the little foyer, older guy with a baseball cap on, kind of looking down, and I looked and recognized him, and he just looked up at me and he went like this, "Hey, how you doing?" That was the end of that. It was great. All right, anyway.
He was a great guy.
Yeah.
His resolution was to jump in the river in his backyard every morning
Okay.
because he felt like that would kickstart his heart.
It will stop his heart in the winter
Well,
because he lived in Connecticut.
he lived in Connecticut. That's correct. But that was his resolution.
Oh, good for him.
But he's not with us anymore.
Well, probably because of that.
How about Bill Murray?
Ooh, Bill Murray.
Yeah, Bill
Oh,
Murray.
crazy. I'm going to say it's a drinking thing. Drugs. What?
All of those things he should have said. But this one was resolving to make a resolution is the most important thing.
Okay.
So he was resolving to make a revolution, but then but he never made one.
Well intentioned, but not well executed, and typical
Bill.
of Bill Murray. All
I
right.
don't know. I don't understand him.
Yeah,
I never did.
No.
How about Conan O'Brien?
To get a real haircut.
Oh, that would be
He's got a very disturbing head of hair. I know it's his signature mark, but oh my gosh, come on.
We need to send him to Puffers or something.
Yeah, well. So what was his thing?
So his is, I want to gain a lot of abdominal weight, and that way I'm not disappointed.
Yeah, so he's
I'm just telling
definitely,
you.
well, he's not setting himself up to fail. So that's
Right,
nice.
exactly.
Yeah, good.
Now, I also ran across Joan Rivers. And most of what she said, I can't say.
All right.
But this one was kind of cute. Now, you know Joan Rivers.
Well, I know of her. Yeah.
Well, she was always the skinny thing.
Yeah.
But she said, I want to lose weight. I love to eat. I bought a picture of the Last Supper just to look at the food. Joan.
What was the food? I don't even know. Fish? They had fish.
Do I remember grapes?
Didn't he make extra fish?
No, that wasn't at the last. Never mind. Never.
They had bread and turned it into fishes at the Last Supper, right?
No.
Loaves into fish.
No, that wasn't
Fish
the last.
fry. They had a fish fry.
Oh my God.
Okay. All right. What else you got for resolutions? Because we want to get to a couple other things.
All right.
The
So
break.
the last one was Jimmy Stewart.
What did you do? Just searched resolutions of dead people?
Well, they're not all dead, and
Well,
Conan O'Brien isn't.
That's the only one.
But I was, I
Bill
wanted to
Murray's
use names that most people would know. So Jimmy Stewart, star of many movies, and the recent best Christmas movie ever, It's a Wonderful Life. So his was, did you have a guess about Jimmy?
No, I didn't know him well enough, but and I don't want to guess and disparage his character. So go ahead.
He was a military man, fought in the war.
Knew that, yeah.
He was. I forget what level he had when he left the military, but way up there, and he was a extremely nice man. He said, "I've decided to stop trying to gain weight."
Yeah.
He said he could eat anything under the sun, and he was so sick of eggs and butter, and he couldn't gain any weight.
Yeah.
He was always a stick of a guy.
Yeah, and
Must be nice.
Yeah, wah. Call the ambulance for Jimmy Stewart. Yeah.
But that's what I wanted to say is, there's a difference between New Year's resolutions and goals. And the difference is a New Year's resolution is you're drinking a little champagne and you say, okay, I'm going to lose weight this year. And then nothing happens. And a goal is you set down some action steps so that you don't do everything at once, but my action steps toward my goals are this. And if you write those down and then your goal has to be practical, like, in 6 months, I want to lose 5 pounds. And if you do that, you're more likely to stick to it than just to make a general, I want to lose 10 pounds this year, or I want to stop smoking this year, or whatever your fake resolution is. So that's my advice. Just make it a goal instead of a resolution.
It makes sense because, everybody's been through the resolution phase, and it has to be sustainable. And in order for it to be sustainable, it can't be this, rash decision that you're going to all of a sudden transform overnight and become a different person and do everything right. Setting, the goals and the steps to meet your goal, making it sustainable so that you don't fail. And you might, but, at least, don't be a fly-by-night decision of a resolution.
So my question to you is, did you make any resolutions?
I didn't, only because I felt like I was good. I'm all good.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, if I could make a resolution to grow more hair on my head, I would do that. But I talk about setting yourself up to fail, and I don't care.
I know you're perfect, but,
Well, I know you should know better.
You're mine, so.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Yes.
All right, good. Thank you for that. I like that. All of that. I like the celebrity thing.
Yeah.
And
It's interesting.
it is interesting. But, well, before we take a break, we got about 10 minutes. So I want to just, because of my position in the city and the fact that this is a community health sort of program, not necessarily city health department program, but because
Sort of.
yeah, right. Sort of. We'll come back around to it. Don't worry. And so just wanted to do a real brief 2-minute COVID update, basically, of from where I sit, this is what I see. And we're in the Omicron variant right now, which is proven to be more contagious, yet less severe symptomatically. It's spreading like wildfire everywhere across the country.
Yay!
Yep.
It gets to the end.
Yep. And just to give you an example, and then I'll try and talk you off the ledge for a second, because we've been so programmed for the last almost 2 years to freak out about COVID, and justifiably so a while back. Maybe not so much so now, but anyway.
We shouldn't freak out after the vaccine.
Right. And I mean, that's the key to the whole thing, right? So get vaccinated, get your booster. I'm actually going to get my booster to Thursday, so that's great.
Got mine yesterday.
Did you really? How do you feel?
I haven't had a reaction really to any of them except for the sore arm. I got my flu shot same time.
Are you sure they didn't give you a placebo?
No, it's sore.
Okay.
Both arms are sore. But the pharmacist was saying that people were reacting more soreness to the flu shot than the COVID booster.
Well, yeah, and you know what? That's a good point. So we'll put a pin in that.
Because I got both. I originally signed up for both, and then they said, "No, you're just a COVID." I'm like, "Can I get both?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, no problem."
But at the same time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Huh.
Yeah. So just to give you a kind of general view of where we stand in Westfield right now, and I do report out all of the new confirmed cases every week. We're hitting an all-time high this week. Today is the day I report out. So for the past week, just to put it in perspective, the week before we reported 316 new confirmed cases of COVID, and that was an all-time weekly report high since the very beginning. Now, I'll tell you, yesterday, before I left the office, I tallied it up just to see, get a sense of where we were going to be for today. Yesterday, as of 5 o'clock, when I left, we had 518 new confirmed cases. So we're already up 200 cases from last week, and I expect that to go up with the report from today. So we're going to be maybe even close to 600 new confirmed cases for this week. So you can just see it's going on and on and on. Now, I will say and preface that, now that the last few weeks we've been seeing the severity of the symptoms be less with this variant. So, and in talking to the State Department of Public Health, so this doesn't come from me, they're kind of segueing into this variant, if it stays the predominant variant and doesn't morph into something more serious, of treating this by way of the flu, like what Pete was just talking about. So, the other thing we're going to focus on, rather than just reporting out the numbers, because the numbers isn't the only metric that really matters. What we need to look at now, and I think Dr. Fauci actually addressed this, is what's the severity of this variant? What's happening? Are people winding up in the hospital? Are people winding up dying? So we're going to start looking at that, because, if you get the flu and you're a relatively healthy person, you're not going to wind up in the hospital, whether you've been vaccinated or not. So if this variant is of the same severity as influenza, then what are we doing? Why are we freaking out? Okay, so that's all I want to say about that. Stay tuned. And we got about 6 minutes. So one of the things I wanted to bring up, this is totally off topic, and this is why. What do you call it when something is like all over the place? It's like just random.
Epidemic? What?
No, like a Okay. I don't even know if I can read this now because I forgot my glasses, even though I put it in big type. But anyway, so hey Pete, can we do a break in about a minute?
Whenever you want.
All right, let's do this. We're gonna because
I was talking to some students in here.
Oh,
we're trying to coordinate the rest of the week.
Well, hey.
We got these seniors that got projects and stuff.
Is that your? Are those your groupies?
Oh.
Yeah. No, they're the students. I don't have groupies.
Oh, well,
but they're trying to plan their senior project,
Okay.
which we're going to do an Iron Chef cook-off next door.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I want to go.
They have audiences or no?
I don't know. We'll
Just
see.
gonna come in? Okay. Yeah. So I
Will you allow it in like April?
in April, yes. April we'll be all back to normal by April.
God, I hope so.
Yeah. Anyway, so before we go to the break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about food safety. All right. So this is something that I've been wanting to talk about ever since forever, and I did talk about it on Tina's show. Maybe once or twice, but this was years ago. And it's really the sort of thing that we should be talking about when, I happen to be kind of an expert, right? I've done restaurant inspections for 20 plus years, so I know the code in and out. And just to, as the community health theme, to kind of disperse this information out to people. There's a lot of things that I think people will find very interesting about it. So it's not going to be preachy. It's just going to be informative. Okay. And so now for everybody's favorite part of the show, which is the dad joke of the month. And for a moment of levity, just because of the COVID, thing, I don't really want to talk about that on this show, but I just wanted to take the opportunity to update. But it's kind of a COVID-themed joke. I like it. But remember when I said about being an expert, right? So I'm a health expert. I get a call the other day from a guy, and he says, why do all you health experts lie? Why do you lie to us? You said that a mask was enough to go into the grocery store, and then when I got there, everyone else had clothes on.
I like that one.
All right. Oh, good. So you're not going to do the or the.
No, I like that one. That was a
like
good
that
one.
Yeah.
That's a joke Kenny might tell.
Yeah. I could hear him.
Yeah, I could hear him telling that. Absolutely.
By the way, Kenny's rant next Tuesday. You might want to tune in right off the top of the show, because after him not being able to go to Las Vegas, it's going to be epic.
Yeah, I bet.
It's going to be epic.
All right, get that soapbox in here.
You're going to need a bigger box.
You're going to need a bigger box. All right, well, let's take a break real quick so we can get to the good stuff after. And in the theme of safety, the song that will get stuck in your head, I promise you, for this month is the safety dance, Men Without Hats.
Hold on, I got the wrong. Hold on.
Is that the wrong one?
No, I grabbed the wrong one.
All right, I'll do it again. The safety dance.
Yes.
Men Without Hats.
We can dance if we want to. We can leave your friends behind. 'Cause your friends don't dance, and if they don't dance, well, they're no friends of mine. See, we can go where we want to, places they will never find. And we can act like we come from out of this world, leave the real one far behind. We can dance. We can go if we want to. Night is young and so am I. We can dress real neat from our hearts to our feet and surprise them with a victory cry. Say, we can act if we want to. If we don't, nobody will. And you can act real rude and totally removed, and I can act like an imbecile. I say, we can dance, everything's out of control. We can dance, we're doing it from pole to pole. We can dance, everybody look at your hands. We can dance, everybody's taking the chance. Safe to dance, oh, it's safe to dance. Yes, it's safe to dance. We can dance if we want to. We've got all your life in mind. As long as we abuse it, never gonna lose it. Everything will work out right. I say we can dance if we want to. We can leave your friends behind. 'Cause your friends don't dance, and if they don't dance, well, they're no friends of mine. I say we can dance, everything's out of control. We can dance, we're doing it from pole to pole. We can dance, everybody look at your hands. We can dance, everybody's taking the chance. It's safe to dance, yes, it's safe to dance.
Underwriting support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Greater Westfield Chamber of Commerce, the voice of business for the Greater Westfield communities. Informing, educating, and advocating, the Chamber provides opportunities for members to make meaningful connections on local, regional, and state levels. For more information on the Chamber's many events, workshops, and programs, as well as the benefits of membership, visit westfieldbiz.org. The Chamber focuses on the most important economy, yours.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
Join me, Tina Gorman, each week from 6 to 8 a.m. for Wake Up Wednesday, when my guests and I discuss health, wellness, and lifestyle reimagined.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is the Joe Show. I'm Joe Rouse here in studio.
And Mommy.
And Mommy, Carol Palmer, my mommy. So we had a nice discussion about New Year's resolutions. We talked a little bit about COVID and then that was my favorite joke so far, I think. And this is what I think is my fourth show or something. So
That's about right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so anyway, I wanted to start talking. Well, first of all, I got to back up because when I dropped my daughter off at school at 7:50 this morning, and then tried to fly over here, I only had to go through one red light. But I quickly realized, be careful when you're driving today. This morning especially, it's icy and doesn't look icy, but it is.
Freezing rain out there.
It's freezing rain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I slid a
Be
couple
very
times.
careful walking out to your cars and things
Yeah,
like that.
absolutely. I actually got a text from one of my nurses who's in the office at 8 o'clock, just warning everybody it's icy in Westfield. So be careful this morning. And then speaking of being safe, I want to talk about food safety. There's a lot of stuff that I want to get out there, but I'll preface it by saying this. When I first started working for the city health department in it was 20 plus years ago, but anyway, a big part of my job at the time was because they were very short-staffed when I started, and that's why they created my position as a health inspector. So we only had one other one, and he was busy just all over the place with doing, putting out fires all the time of the disaster du jour, which is what we have every day. But for the last 2 years, the disaster du jour has been COVID. And that's all we've been talking about. That's all we talk about in the office. That's all we talk about. So I started to say the other day, even though the cases are getting worse and this is spreading around like crazy, I feel it's with this continued attention on COVID, and everything else still operating as normal. Places aren't closed down like they were in the beginning, but what a horrible disservice to the rest of the community that we're not able to be out there providing health services as we should. And one of the things that I was asked on the Peter Courier from the Westfield News, he did kind of a year in review of COVID and said, talk about where we were back then and how it's different now and blah, blah, blah. And then his pivotal question was, well, and how do you see this ending? Like, how do you see this working out? What's going to happen? And I said, there's really right now only two options. And one of them is herd immunity from vaccination. So if we get that all coveted 70% and we have that community herd immunity, that will stop the epidemic locally, or there might still be a pandemic elsewhere. But if we have that, and by the way, the state average of vaccination is 70%. We just lag way behind out here in Western Mass at 57%. And so I don't see that happening. I think that by now, with the vaccine being available for as long as it has, the people who have been vaccinated the people who haven't been vaccinated are not going. I think they've already made up their mind. But nonetheless, maybe it's an availability thing, maybe it's a convenience thing, maybe it's a vaccine hesitancy for misinformation thing. So we're going to continue to try and increase that vaccination rate. We're not giving up there yet. The other way that could possibly end, and leads into the thing I want to talk about, is that it's a complete system breakdown. I mean, it will get to the point, if we allow it to, that the system infrastructure of everything is going to be so saturated that there's nothing more you can do. And it's just going to go. And it's going to keep going and do whatever it wants. So, and the system breakdown is when you get in a car accident and you need to go to the hospital, and they're over max capacity because of COVID cases that are in there for treatment. That's a problem. That's a system breakdown. The other part of it is, with the attention to COVID as being a pandemic that we have to do here, it detracts from our ability to provide the vital health services to the community, like food inspections. So that's why I wanted to broach on the subject of food safety, because we are starting now to get back out and do more of the food inspections to make sure that we don't compound a cluster of COVID with a cluster of salmonella.
Oh, God.
I mean, that's just worst case scenario. So
I've had that. You don't want it.
yeah, I know you have. And,
Years ago.
Yeah. So anyway, let's get into the food safety stuff. And, this is important because I know that people probably don't do research at home about how to, be safe in your preparation of food. I mean, Mom, you cook like crazy, or awesome cook, and put out great stuff. And it's just maybe something to help people be a little more conscious about what they do, because most of the foodborne illnesses, believe it or not, don't come from a restaurant. They come from home mishandling of food, or people just, and it's like one of the examples is this. So, hey, I've been doing this at home like this for 30 years. Why? And nobody's ever gotten sick. Well, just because they haven't doesn't mean they will. 1 in 10,000 eggs has salmonella. And if it's undercooked, but that's a 1 in 10,000 chance. But how many eggs do you eat in your life? I mean, I don't know, whatever. So
I remember calling you several times and asking you questions. I learned a lot the last 10 years or so about food safety at home.
One thing I gotta say is, as far as a resource for this, and this bleeds back into my inspectional services sort of thing, is that the USDA is our resource for all things food safety related. So if anybody ever wants to go to a really good website to get a lot of information, very specific information about food safety, go to usda.gov. And they'll navigate right through that. They have any question you could possibly have about food safety, whether it's cooling, cooking, cross-contamination, whatever. They have information for everything. That's our go-to resource.
Cool.
They are the ones who write the food code, which we use to enforce in restaurants. And the other thing they have too is they have a hotline. So if you have a question, say you're in the process of preparing a big dinner or something, and you have a question like, should I wash this turkey before I start cooking it or anything? Call the hotline. It's 1-888-674-6854. It's 1-888-MP hotline. 1-888-MP hotline. All right. So the MP actually stands for meat and poultry, and then
I wondered.
meat and poultry. So anyway, USDA is our source. This is who we rely on for pretty much all of our food information, regulatory authority, and everything. And also now this is good because we still have 20 minutes, so I still have a lot to get to. But I just want to recount one thing in my capacity as a health inspector in the city. I just want to let people know that the restaurants that we have here in this city are awesome. And they are, I don't know if I'm just lucky, because I hear war stories from inspectors in other communities, and they're not good. And I won't name who they are, but I will say there's some contiguous to us. So Westfield, back when I first started, it was a little bumpy road with a couple places because they hadn't been under regulatory authority for a while. But right now, currently, and probably for the last 10 years, 12 years, these places are really abiding by the regulations that they should. Very rarely do we go in now and have to close a place down. That used to happen way more frequently. And it was, and the closure of a restaurant comes down to when I have to say this to the owner or the manager that's there, you're going to kill somebody. So you're done here until we sort this out. And then I remember one of them was, I think it was like a breakfast lunch place. I don't remember if they did dinner or not, but it was new owners, and they were just not getting it. I don't know if it was a cultural thing or whatever, but I remember saying to the owner, we're going to close you down because you're going to kill somebody. And by the way, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., I want every single one of your staff in this dining area sitting down, and I'm going to come in and we're going to have a whole presentation, a whole educational session, because everybody needs to be on the same page. You guys are just all over the place. And it wasn't bad, like dirty or anything. I've had a couple of those, but it was just like, what are you doing when you're cooking? And
I've seen Chef Gordon Ramsay do that.
well, that, you know what? That's exactly what I
And
felt
John
like.
Taffer do that.
I felt that. I maybe I got
You're
that
trying to
idea
kill
right.
someone.
You're trying to kill someone. What are you doing? You can't. And that's what I felt like when I called them on, and I went back in. We had a like a per diem inspector at the time to help us out, and I brought him with me, and I just let him have it. I really did, because this is not okay. And then I remember we were leaving there, and the per diem inspector said to me, "They were going to kill someone. I thought you were going to kill them." I went, "Well, maybe." But anyway, it's not always about the overall cleanliness of the place, although that's nice. One indicator for the public, I tell you, this is a common denominator for all of the kitchens that are bad and dirty. You go into the bathroom, if it's dirty in there, it's dirty in the kitchen. Telling you right now.
Yeah, if they don't have enough attention to detail to keep the bathrooms clean, it's got to be worse in the back end.
Yeah. There's some of the restaurants that it's not anything intentional that they do. It's a cultural thing. Like I said, they're not necessarily originated from this country, and they come over and they just do things the way they always did outside of the regulatory control of the USDA and the local health departments. So those are not things that I get too concerned about, because it's just an educational session. So we're not, when we go into these restaurants, and just like we're going to do in a couple minutes, we're not there to, be some busting anybody's chops just because we like it, or picking on the little things. I'll let the little things go as long as they're not going to kill somebody, right? So that just leads into the principles that we talk about when we go in for these places, and should be also translated into your home kitchen. So the USDA has basically 4 categories that, and we'll break them down a little bit, but you need to clean. So mishandling food can lead to foodborne illness. You need to wash your hands and surfaces, often. One of the things that's interesting is that the USDA, I don't know where they pulled their information from, but it says 99% of people do not wash their hands properly. So here's how it goes. When, first thing I do when I go in to do a restaurant inspection is I wash my hands, and I show them this is how you do it, right? It's soap and water, warm water. You're gonna wash for 20 seconds, and rinse and dry. Hopefully not with a kitchen towel. Okay, disposable towels or hand air dryer. I don't know, whatever.
Don't you think that's better now, though, because of COVID, and we've been taught how
Air
to
dryers? Air dryers technically I heard are worse.
Yeah, if you're in the bathroom and that's all you got, okay. I wouldn't advocate for that in a kitchen. It's always just disposable paper towels. So and the best way to think about it is, I don't know if the USDA came up with this or not. 20 seconds. So sing happy birthday.
twice.
Yep. And now, this isn't a dad joke. It's just a joke.
What?
Well, a guy said, I don't know whoever said to sing happy birthday when you're washing your hands, because now every time I come out of the bathroom, my kids expect a cake.
Second dad joke of the day.
Okay. I think the first one was less of a dad joke and just a good COVID jab or whatever. So the second category is to separate things. So when you're handling raw meat, poultry, seafood, keep it separate. Don't, avoid cross-contamination. And one of the things I think people find interesting is that, and when I mentioned about should I wash this turkey before I start cooking it, don't wash your raw meat, poultry, seafood. Just don't do it, because that is actually going to transmit more cross-contamination. You're going to be rinsing off stuff that you don't need to, and it's going to, now you got to sanitize the sink. Maybe it gets splashed over onto the counter. So the USDA definitely says in their bulletins, do not wash raw meat, poultry, or seafood. So FYI. The next thing is, the cooking part, right? So to cook it to proper temperatures, everybody should have a food thermometer in their house. You really should, because you think but you don't know what you don't know. So it comes in handy sometimes. I use them all the time. I was just making hamburgers in the air fryer the other day, and I couldn't tell. I mean, I'm not an expert air fryer person, so I had to check the temperatures, and I'm glad I did, because I probably would have killed somebody if I...
Those little ones, like the one you gave me that folds,
Yeah.
those are the best. They're digital and very accurate. I use mine all the time.
Yeah, and I mean, it's also good just to gauge. Like in the restaurants, what I'll say is you don't have to use this every single time. You're going to get to a point where you're going to see and know what it looks like, the amount of time it needs to cook. You're cooking at consistent temperatures, and you're going to know. So you don't have to temp it every time, but just make sure that you know when it's at that point where it's safe to serve. So the last part of it is the chill. So temperatures are huge, right? When you're talking about food safety, the danger zone is foods that are left between 40 degrees and 140 degrees for a period of time. And one of the things that's a little bit concerning is that the bacteria that grows on the product when it's in that danger zone, it doubles after 20 minutes. Ooh. So you don't want to leave any food in that danger zone for more than 2 hours, right? If it's out 2 hours, done.
Are you talking about raw food or cooked food?
Both.
Oh, both.
Yeah.
So don't defrost things on your counter.
Don't defrost things on your counter. There's only two ways to do it right. You can do it under refrigeration.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of time.
Couple days.
You can also, depending, like if it's a turkey. The other thing you can do is and we let people do this in restaurants, is you can thaw it under cold running water, not cold standing water, and see how that goes for you. The other thing you can do too is it's perfectly safe to cook things from the frozen state. It just takes about 50% longer.
Yeah, it does.
So those are that. And then...
Unless you have one of them cool sous vide things.
Yeah, right.
I live by those. I live by that.
By what?
Sous vide.
Oh, yeah. That is the thing.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
It's cooking in a bath of water that's at a constant temperature.
Right. And most of the stuff that you put in there, isn't it like vacuum packed?
I vacuum seal everything.
Yeah. Right.
But you can do it with a regular, like, freezer bag and just push all the air out.
Yep.
But with me living alone, it's been a lifesaver.
Yeah, it's I knew somebody that had one of those, spoke very highly of it. So I haven't tried it yet because mostly I don't know how to say it. So I'm not French.
Must be.
I'm not French.
What do you mean? You are too.
I cooked a bottom round roast, which is a very cheap cut of meat.
Yeah.
For 24 hours at 130 degrees temperature, and it came out like prime rib.
Really?
Oh, no kidding.
It was super tender, cooked medium. And it was perfect. My girlfriend said it was tasted just like prime rib to her.
Wow.
Yeah.
Doesn't sous vide mean with life?
I don't know what the exact translation is. It's French. It's a French cooking.
I know it's French.
Well, you're French, so
no, I'm not French.
I think it means with water.
That dang ancestry.
Oh, with water. Yeah, that makes sense.
No, sous vide, which means under vacuum.
Oh,
in French.
you said vide. I thought you said
V-I-D-E.
Yeah,
right?
sous vide.
Sous vide.
Under vacuum in French.
Yeah.
Ah.
Oh. Good for them. That's a
Yeah.
Well, we'll talking about temperatures, right? And now we'll talk about cooking temperatures. So we know about storage, right? You want to keep your refrigerator below 40 degrees. Your freezer should be 0. Frozen's frozen. That's what I always say. There is provisions in the code that says commercial freezers have to be X temperature below 0. I just go frozen's frozen. I mean, what? It's going to be more frozen? I don't understand.
Is it frozen or absolute frozen?
Absolute frozen.
Let it go, let it go.
One of the things that we used to have, the USDA invented this little character, and it was a thermometer, and his name was Thermi, and he was so cute. And that was their big promotion to the public. It was Thermi. It was a little thermometer with a chef's hat on, and I don't know why he was sweating, but anyway, he was sweating. Most of the kitchen people sweat, I guess. But his slogan was, "It's safe to bite when the temperature is right." And I don't know why he sounds like Mr. Bill to me, but whatever. That character is now not around anymore because
I never heard of it.
Well, that's why. See,
Hated it.
I don't know. It's all right. So the cooking temperatures. This is stuff that I think people generally know. You know, when you're doing meat, beef, especially. Beef roasts or anything like that. So the temperatures for beef is generally lower than it is for poultry because poultry is just dirty, nasty, bacteria-laden foul.
Oh, God.
All right? Beef, 145 degrees. All right? So and the other thing, too, about that, when you're cooking a steak, it is actually safe to eat after there has been a color change on all surfaces of the meat. So if you're grilling it and you have brown top, brown bottom, brown sides, you're done. It's safe. It might be totally bloody rare inside, but technically it's safe.
It's
You're
safe.
seared off.
Yes. Ground meats, so ground beef, hamburgers, things like that, 160 degrees. Because the reason for that is when they make ground beef, it's not always all from one cut of meat. It could be in a slaughterhouse they're making ground beef with many different parts of many different cows. And fillers. And so that presents it as being more of a risk for foodborne illness because it's not just from one cut of meat, which is actually way safer. But
When I make tacos, I brown the heck out of it. I kill it.
Yeah, you have to. Really, there's no redeeming quality of undercooked ground beef. It's just, I think it would be gross. What do you call the raw stuff that you eat? The
Tartare?
Tartare.
Oh, steak tartare.
Blech.
That's different, though.
Yeah.
I only ate that once in Italy.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's
Steak tartare, if you cut it from like a sirloin or something like that.
Oh, my God, it
it's
was
really
delicious.
Good, yeah.
well, and it also is treated with some acidification. So
Right, the
it's-
acid kills the bacteria.
Right. Hopefully.
You cook it with an
I
acid.
would not order that here.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. There's certain stuff I wouldn't order in a regular restaurant, but I get adventurous when I know it's like a really good restaurant. You know they're going to do it properly.
Well, let me tell you, there's a world-renowned restaurant in New York City that my mother got salmonella from. So
That's correct.
wow, ouch! Not just you. It was an outbreak.
It was an outbreak of salmonella, yeah.
World-renowned, famous.
Yeah, famous place.
Sorry, Pete.
So
I didn't mean to
it's
rain
not,
on your
not
parade.
always true.
Well, okay, as a general rule.
Yeah, that was the exception for sure. Ground poultry. So ground turkey, ground chicken, 165 degrees. Mm-hmm. Then we go into the poultry stuff. Pretty much all think of it as 165 degrees. That's just you got to get there. Like I said, beef, you're safe at 145. Poultry, always 165.
Yep.
All right, and more if you can. Leftovers, anything you have left over, you want to reheat, 165 degrees, and that's pretty easy to tell. Like if you do it in the microwave, as long as it's steaming hot, you've pretty much gotten to that 165.
How long should you keep the leftovers, though? That's another question.
Okay, well, that is a good question. 5 days.
5 days?
5 days.
Oh, I go with 3.
Now, leading into that, we have 5 minutes left. This is my favorite part because I think it's going to demystify a lot for people. So
The lightning round.
it is. Here we go. Now, you go into a grocery store and you buy a product. Meat, it's always meat, cheese, whatever. Anything that has some sort of date on it. Do you want to know what those dates mean? Do you want to know what best if used by, sell by,
Yes,
Use
I'd like
by.
to
Do you
know
want to
that,
know what those
sir.
mean?
I found out you can keep a can of soup for at least a year after its sell-by date.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, here we go. If you see a on the label, it says best if used by or before, that just indicates when a product will be of best flavor quality. It's not a purchase or safety date. So best if used by before, not a purchase or safety date. A sell-by date, that's the date that tells the store how long to display the product for. For inventory management, it's not a safety date. A use-by date, I think this is the one that people go by when they're at home and they look at the date and they go, oh, shit, it said use by, I said shoot. It said use by date. It's the date that is recommended for the use of the product while at peak quality. It's not a safety date except for when it's infant formula. So everything else, a use-by date is a date recommended for the use of the product while at peak quality, right? I think that's the one people get hung up on. It said use by, I can't use it now because it's past the time they said I was supposed to use it. Not true. It's not a safety date. Freeze-by date. So a lot of the ones I see, it'll say use or freeze-by.
Right.
So the freeze-by date indicates when a product should be frozen to maintain peak quality. So it's the same thing as using it by at its peak quality. But the freeze-by date, it's not a purchase or safety date. So now you're going to say, those are all the labels. How am I supposed to know when this is not going to be good anymore? USDA actually estimates that 30% of the food supply is lost or wasted at the retail and consumer levels. One source of food waste arises from consumers or retailers throwing away wholesome food because of confusion about the meaning of the dates displayed on the label. So basically what the USDA is saying is if the date passes during home storage, a product should still be safe and wholesome if handled properly until the time spoilage is evident. So that means spoiled foods will develop an off odor, flavor, or texture due to naturally occurring spoilage bacteria. If a food has developed such spoilage characteristics, it is not to be eaten. So here we go. None of those dates, if it goes past that date, means that you shouldn't eat the food. When you shouldn't eat the food is when it's not edible. So if you open up a package of bologna and it smells like, cheesy feet, then don't eat it.
Cheesy.
Right? Or if you notice mold on something,
Well, yeah, that would be a
obviously
good
you don't eat.
indication.
I mean, but everything else really, none of those dates mean that if you eat this food after the expiration date, whatever it is, that it's no good and you're going to get sick. That's not true. It's just all, peak quality indicators. And when the food is bad, you'll know the food is bad and then don't eat it. But as a general rule, if there's leftovers 5 to 7 days, then you shouldn't take a chance because you're going to be reheating that. So that's a little bit different. But off the shelf from the grocery store into your house, that date means it's not a safety date. The safety date is you going, woo, this turkey stinks. I'm not going to eat it.
Well,
or it's slimy or something like that.
Right. If you're any kind of a cook, you use your nose a lot.
Yeah.
And you know when food is fresh.
Use your nose, use your eyes. You're going to know.
You're going to know.
So that's right from the USDA. It's bad when you notice that it's bad. Those dates don't mean you have to throw things out. Throw them out when they go bad. And that's all I have to say about that. Thank you, Mother, Carol Palmer, for being
You're
here.
so welcome.
Thank
Anytime.
you. Thank you, Pete, for all your work and support and your efforts. Much appreciated. It's 9:00. This was The Joe Show. I'll see you next month, and stay healthy, my friends.
Love you.
Good morning, everyone.